So I will start right now with the very first presentation, because I know we don't have much time. So the first presentation has the title Towards a Modular Architecture for Collaborative Music Learning. And I'm going to give an overview of the project. And then we have some presentations explaining a little bit more about some components of this project. So, like I said, it is a Greek national project. We received funding. Our proposal was approved about 1 year ago, so last June. So it's a really new project and everything is under development, more or less. It's work in progress. We are 3 partners. The Hellenic Mediterranean University is the university where I come from, and it is located in Crete, very south of Greece. Then the Aristotle University of Thessaloniki Department of Music Studies, it is located at the north part of Greece. And we have 2 professional jazz musicians in the consortium, Andonis and Dimitris. They are very good jazz musicians, and also they have initiated the development. They've done the development of an application called Genius Jam Tracks. Maybe you want to visit this page. This application is offered for iOS, and it aims at musicians wanting to practice on jazz improvisation. So some of Genius Jam Tracks is inside our project, and that's why our project has a bias towards jazz learning. But of course, we're trying to make something for any kind of music learning. Yes. So our objective is to provide a fully web-based environment for collaborative music learning. And when I say collaborative, I mean that people should be able to collaborate. Not only asynchronously, but also synchronously. And our approach is to develop a modular architecture which comprises several little modules that these modules are interoperable and may be combined in order to allow realizing the intended learning scenarios. So in terms of music pedagogy, of course, we are not specialists in education theories and things like that, but it seems like we adhere to theories of social constructionism and social contractivism, which state that people work together to construct artifacts, and that learning of individuals takes place because of the social collaborative interaction with these artifacts. So our platform aims at allowing constructing artifacts, exploring artifacts, rendering, distributing, sharing, interacting, manipulating, and so on. And what do we mean by music learning artifacts? We basically have 2 things. We have digital audio files, digital audio recordings, as well as music notation files in different formats. Both of them can be in different formats. So the first requirement for music learning, we want to address situations, first of all, what does a teacher do asynchronously in order to create a course. So one of the main things teachers do today is to interact with a learning management system, an LMS. I guess that most of us have been interacting with learning management systems. For example, Open eClass is one of them. Moodle is another solution for open source learning management system. So one of our modules is a learning management system, which is based on Moodle. I will show that a little bit later. And this allows teachers to create the course structure. Also, we want to let teachers have access to a large repository of music learning artifacts. So that's the second module of our platform. We have built a data repository where people can upload their learning material. And this data repository is the main subject of the next presentation, so I'm not going to get into very much detail into this. It actually incorporates several intelligent functionalities for exploring new material and things like that. Also, we want teachers to be able to construct new materials, so to say, record their performance or build the score from scratch. And that's more or less it about asynchronous interactions of the teachers. Now, asynchronous interaction of the students, we consider that the student would like to receive learning material, would like to create their artifact, which usually in music corresponds to a recording or a score, maybe, if we're talking about composition. And a student would also like to have some sort of automatic feedback asynchronously. So we provide some mechanisms for audio analysis. For example, we incorporate some mechanisms for beat and chord extraction. And then, of course, we want to accommodate synchronous collaborative lessons. This is a virtual room where people meet, students and teacher, and where they can interact simultaneously, either by creating new artifacts or by modifying existing ones. And our general architecture, it comprises 3 servers: a collaboration server, a conferencing server, and a music generation server. And each of these servers has different modules. Like I said, the modules are interoperable, and you may choose which ones you want to use in your setup, in your learning lesson. So if I want to put numbers in these modules, at the moment we have 6 modules. One is the learning management system. This is just a screenshot of our learning management system. Actually, since I plan to show a couple of things, our website is on address MusiCoLab HMUGR. You can find some information about our project, our goals, our partners, and so on. If you try to log in, you log into Moodle, to the learning management system, where one can find different courses or can build new courses. I won't get into much detail because I think that most of us have been using such systems. And so this learning management system is in fact connected. It authenticates user. It gives them roles of teachers or students. And through these roles, people get access to our data repository, which is, like I said, the focus of the second paper. So I'm not going to get into much detail. This is something we developed from scratch, and it has several mechanisms that you will see in the second presentation. We are using the Wave Surfer widget. I suppose most of you know this, as a sound editor to display waveforms, and well, every artifact is associated with metadata. So within this platform, we are able to show metadata, suggest automatically metadata, edit metadata, and things like that. And then another component is the notation editor. This component is actually based on an open source solution which is called the Verovio Humdrum Viewer. Maybe some of you know it or have used it. You can see the notation editor. I'm sorry. Yeah, here, for example. So the idea is that you can load scores either from the hard drive of the user or from the repository. This is an example of a score. These scores may be used either asynchronously, edited asynchronously by teachers or students, or they may be edited synchronously. So this is one of the main modifications we've done on Verovio, and this is the subject of the third presentation in this workshop. We have tried to implement collaboration mechanisms like, for example, those similar to those used by Google Docs to allow collaborative editing of this score. Other things are that you may edit a chord, for example. You may change a chord, and then this connects to a component of our system, which is called music generation server, to retrieve a different score according to what you require. Okay, maybe this is the time when I have to talk a little bit about the music generation server. This is a server that maintains, at the moment, it maintains symbolic artifacts for jazz standards. So it allows retrieving score files according to a specific complexity, harmonic or rhythmic complexity. And you may send requests to this server to modify these files and modify them in terms of two things, mainly to ask for reharmonization to change one chord or to change the chord sequence according to a different style. So Verovio Humdrum Viewer is one component that we based our implementation on. But as you will see, we've changed it quite a lot. So, for example, we have added here something like a sound editor. I would like to try to show you, to demonstrate one of the functionalities of this component. Most certainly sure that it is not going to work because this is really under development. But please let me present the idea at least. So we suppose that one student loads this score and wants to experiment, wants to practice on this representation of music. So one of the things he does, for example, he or she does, is if she may wear speakers, headphones, excuse me, and listen to this sound rendering representation of this score. At the same time, this may be used as a backing track, as an accompanying backing track. So at the same time, the student or the teacher may wish to perform a solo based or perform the same piece of music at home. And they may in fact record it through this little application up here. So for example, the sound is only, yeah. Excuse me? This is not connected. No, it is. The output goes to, yeah, I'm sorry. External headphones.
Yeah. The first one?
The first one. In Audacity, all right. Do you know where?
This is Core Audio, Macro Pro Mic, and Macro Pro Speaker. Move to the right, move to the right. Right, one more.
Right. This is there's only one. Maybe. Yes. You are right. Okay. Okay. Audacity, and then. Well. Where output? Anyway, yes, the thing is that this application can hear, so I'll try to do this again. So you produce a recording of your performance, which you may, for example, align it to the score. We do some audio to score alignment, not non-real time, offline. So there is this button here that does the alignment. And then I may choose one note and request that the waveform goes to that point of the performance. So you can imagine this can be quite useful for long pieces, for example. And we have a second button here, which does audio signal analysis, and it is not implemented yet. But our goal is to do some automatic chord and chord detection and beat tracking, which will be displayed on this waveform. Yes, and the other component of our project is this thing called conferencing server. This is a video conferencing server, and since we wanted to use web-only solutions, we decided to use Jitsi Meet. I have a separate slide for this. I'm sorry. Jitsi Meet for creating a virtual room where students and teachers can meet. Of course, ideally, we would have liked this component to have to satisfy the requirements of network music performance systems, so to say, to have very low latency and to have very, very, very high audio quality. But as far as we knew, at least up until this conference, this is not possible at the moment through a web browser. But I see that new implementations of the web audio API may enable such things. Well, may enable mainly that we have more control on the audio device, because one of the main things in network music performance system is to have very, very small audio buffers, which is something that you cannot control at the moment. So we use the video Jitsi as a video conferencing component, and this may be activated again from here. So you may require a room, for example, we may meet at a room called Jazz Impro or something like that. And then I may connect here to join a meeting, and at the same time edit the score and the audio file. Okay, as you can see, I'm not going to get into any more detail. I think the time has passed. As you can see, at the moment, we're, like I said, our project is very, very new. It's under development, and it's work in progress. And at the moment, we don't do any low-level development stuff. So what we wanted to do is to reuse existing solutions, mainly open source solution, and see if we can accommodate all the requirements of music education. Of course, there is a plan for getting hands-on implementation with more low-level stuff. Already to integrate all these tools all together, it requires a lot of work, believe me. And well, regarding conclusions, I think I've already said most of this, but one of the main problems at the moment is we have not conducted any evaluation experiments. Of course, evaluation experiments will reveal the real thing, what is the real problem. At the moment, we're just developing, trying to provide as many collaboration and interaction affordances as possible, but we have to actually see this in practice. So that's the most obvious thing one can say. And the other thing I wanted to mention about our project is that, first of all, we have two research priorities. We want to experiment on simultaneous collaboration over the web, see as much as possible how people can collaborate on audio and music simultaneously. And of course, research as audio engineers that most of us are, one of the things we want to check is how music information retrieval functionalities could be incorporated in such a system, and how, if at all, they could help students or teachers to reach learning material or to improve their learning experience and engagement in music learning. So that's all from me. Thank you very much. I've put some links here where you can, which you can try and see our different components of the project. Thank you for listening. I don't know if you have any questions, comments. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Just a quick question. My name is Latko. I'm from a music university in Hamburg, and
All right.
our ensemble will perform the closing performance.
Yes.
So, being a jazz musician myself and teaching at our
All right.
jazz
Very interesting.
departments, my compliments for. I think it's a beautifully integrated concept.
Thank you.
Kind of fragments of that I see exist in the commercial domain, but to integrate it in such a way, I think it's a very valuable undertaking. At the same time, my question is, where do you really see the application? So to give you an example, in the past unfortunate Corona times that we shared, I wished I had a tool like that, but more than that, I wished I wouldn't need a tool like that. You know what I mean?
Yes, of course.
So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. There was no question.
That was the question. Where do you see an application for the finished product?
Okay,
As
okay.
we always, I would assume, would prefer to meet in person and to play in person, especially when it comes to jazz music.
Well, I mean, as a jazz musician, I suppose you do know that well-known tutors offer master classes and things like that, and they have to do that through the internet. I mean, we cannot take the airplane anymore and go here and there every now and then and do our classes. I know a lot of jazz musicians who are teaching through the internet, no?
I can speak to that a little bit too. My nephew, who is a guitar teacher in the States, very, very busy home studio. And when COVID hit, he went completely online. He already had a very good online presence. He is busier now and making more money now, teaching students all over the States than before COVID. And it also, with these kinds of tools, it's possible. You want to study with Richard Davis in New York City, but you live in San Francisco. You can use systems like this that do exist. There's string teachers, private lesson folks, and it works both ways. The teachers are becoming more and more facile with these kinds of systems. The systems are becoming more and more
efficient for this type of interaction and sophisticated.
The question here again is where you're going. There was a slide yesterday about hammers and nails. And it appears like you're building the hammer and are searching for a nail right now. You're throwing everything you can possibly throw in. Where are your domain experts? Where are your teachers who are saying this is what we want? I think Hong Choi also spoke a little bit about this. It's from both sides.
It's true. Actually, the third partner of our project, like I said, it's two professional jazz musicians, and Donis and Dimitris. I think one of them is participating actually. And they may reply if they like, but requirements and everything else we have get from these people, and they have, of course, students and things like that, and they are developing themselves applications for music learning. The thing is, we didn't collaborate in evaluation yet because this is just a starting point. You know, we just started to develop things. We discuss together and say, is this useful? Is this useful? But now is the time to schedule our experiments and see whether this is really valuable or not. Maybe it's not, I don't know. Yes, please. No, yeah, I know. I know, of course. But there's always one case like that.
So in your conclusions, you mention evaluation, and I'm guessing a little bit about what you even mean by evaluation. Are you talking about looking at the student performances and trying to evaluate correctness to the extent that it's possible? Are you talking about evaluating your own success in putting together all of these different parts? Can you explain a little bit more what you mean by evaluation?
Okay, yes. We want to see whether this type of interaction is through our system is effective, and whether it enhances student or teacher engagement in learning. Because you will see on the next presentations also that it is we are trying to provide mechanisms for exploring material that you may want to experiment or you may not want to experiment, and we want to see how each of these tools is useful. So I'm not sure if this is your question. Yeah, we plan to conduct some interviews and things like that. I don't mean an evaluation experiment in the sense of measuring things or benchmarking. We just want to monitor the interaction of people through the platform and whether there's something missing or not, and whether something is useless maybe.
Well, since you have this score following,
Yeah, we're not that many. It's yes, we have some people connected through the internet.
Okay. Since you have the score following, this allows you to say some objective things about the performance. You can say something about rhythm. I don't know what the right standard is, certainly not metronomic rhythm. You can say something about pitch. You can say something about vibrato, maybe something about dynamics.
All right. Yes, I see what you mean.
To give any
Feedback
about
to
accuracy, or maybe even something more aspirational.
Yes, it's true. Actually, we plan to provide some visualizations of student feedback, which originates from automatic analysis of audio. Is that what you mean? Quite a lot of platforms that deal with music education, for example, I don't know, Musician or things like that, they provide student feedback about pitch, for example, or about time alignment. We don't mean this as an evaluation of our platform. We mean it as providing user feedback to their performance. I don't know, is this answering your question?
Well, I don't want to go on and on about this. Other people might
but we could, yeah.
People might want to ask questions. I'm just sort of curious what it is that you intend to give feedback on.
All right. Yes, I see. Well, with my students here, for example, concerning score following, we plan to provide feedback as to how well aligned is a performance of a piece. I know that when you are learning music, you don't just perform from the beginning to the end. That's what we were discussing, by the way. Yes, I'm sorry. So we will switch to the next paper, and maybe this will bring some more questions for music learning, but we can, of course, discuss about it in private afterwards.